Okay, so now we've done our aluminium base, we're then going to move on to draw our frame, obviously a bit more complicated. Again, to do that, because we've already created our little project called the Year 12 lamp, we're not going to get a new one, we're actually going to go down the bottom here, insert new element, and then create part studio. So you'll see it creates a new part, again in the same sort of folder, and we'll then, while we're here, might as well rename it. Steel frame, so don't forget, and we then start on. So again, as ever, we're going to do a sketch first, and again I'm going to actually do a side view sketch to start with. So click on sketch, rather than the top I'm actually going to use this right hand plane. Again, to make it a bit more easier, because it's quite a complicated sketch, I'm actually just going to click on this right side so I get a front on view, and I'm going to start off just by drawing a basic outline to start with. So I'm going to again start in the origin, drag a line, so again you can see the rough dimensions, so get it somewhere near. Again, don't worry too much about getting it absolutely perfect. Again, I'm just going to zoom out, just going to pan it down a bit. Again, try and avoid it, it will snap to 90 degrees, so try and avoid that. And again, this is the careful one. Again, that one you can see wants to do a perfect right angle, so just make sure it's not a perfect right angle. And again, to finish, double click. Once I've done that, I can then start dimensioning that basic frame. So I'm going to draw the frame here without the sort of semicircular loops on the ends. So if you're wondering what the dimensions are, all will be revealed later. So again, I could hover over the line, left click, drag out the dimension. So I think the bottom one's around, I'm going to start off with 80mm. It's a basic one. We're then going to redimension that one, 210, and then hover over that line, left click, drag out, and I think that's about 97 on that one. So it gives us our basic length. I'm then going to add the angle, so I'm just going to select and click, left click that line, and then left click that, converts it to an angle. And again, I think that bottom one's around 101 degrees, sorry. Then do exactly the same, selecting both. I think that top one's 110. So we've got our basic outline. Again, I'm just going to reposition it so you can see the next bit. Happy with all those dimensions. Again, before I do anything, I'm actually going to create the 10mm border, if you like, or the 10mm offset. Again, to do that, I'm going to use one of the tools at the top here. So I'm just going to use this offset tool. Again, if you hover over it, it creates copies of selected items. So it's relatively straightforward. So I'm literally going to click on that. You'll see that it's gone the other way. I actually want it to go inwards, so I'm just going to go down, select the arrow. You'll see it goes inwards now. Select that line, select that line, does it all. Again, I'm just going to zoom in. It's quite hard, just pan up a little bit, so hold my middle mouse button down. And again, you can see it's actually got an offset built in there. I'll just zoom in a bit more, of 5mm. If I double click that, I'm going to change that to 10mm now. And hopefully you'll see that it's then done all of our offsetting from there. All I then need to do is then enclose this sketch. So again, go back to the line tool, click on the origin, click up to the top. Again, I'm just going to pan to the very top section, and again, hold it, close in. Again, I know it's a closed boundary because it's gone grey, so we know we're pretty much right there. Once I'm happy with that, I'm then going to click on the green tick. So once I've got to that stage, I'm then just ready to extrude it. So click on the extrude button. Again, I'm just going to rotate it so you can see it a little bit. Again, we just want to add a depth of 10mm. Again, I'm going to select the sketch I want to actually extrude. So hover over it, goes orange, click on it, you'll create that section there. Again, you can see it's going this direction. If I did want to actually do it and add it the other way, I can just click on that. It doesn't really matter at the moment on that one. So we've got our very, very basic frame drawn up now. So happy with that. I can then get to that section. So we've got one side of our steel frame done. Again, we could do the next bit in a number of different ways. I'm going to show you a mirroring technique, I think, to start with. So you can see that we've got a work plane here. Yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another work plane offset from that. So if I go up to the top here, yeah, you can see there's a plane. I can have an offset, and I want it to be right down the middle. So I think there's about a 30mm gap between the inside of one frame and the inside of the other. So I'm going to offset that work plane 15mm, and again I'm just going to select the work plane. So again you can see it's just done it the wrong way, so I'm just going to flip it over, so I end up with a work plane 15mm away from that inside face. Once I've done that, I can then use another icon up here. So you can see there's a mirror icon. That's all I'm going to do. Select it, tell me, right, what do you want to mirror? So I'm going to select our part. What's the mirror plane? So again, I'm just going to select plane 1, and you'll see it's then just basically done an exact copy of it, mirrored it around that that offset plane. So hopefully we know that that distance is then 30mm from one side or the other. So again, relatively straightforward method of doing that. I could have done it using the pattern. I could have done a linear pattern. In reality, this is getting more complicated. So again, I'll just do this to show you. Obviously, I'll not do this for real, but we'll start with that one. Again, which direction do I want? So you actually do it looking at work planes. So again, if I select the direction I want it, again you can see it sort of mirrors it, that's the wrong way, so I'll just click on that one. So you can see there, I can then just change that. I could have changed that to 30mm away, all that type of thing. Don't want to confuse that, but I think the work plane one's quite a nice one. It's easy when you come to assemble as well, if you have work planes going down the middle, to be honest. So that's our basic frame doubled up. Next thing I'm going to add is the semicircle to the top. So go back to our sketch function. Again, I'm just going to rotate it, pan it a little bit. I'm going to select this top face here as our sketching plane. Again, just going to rotate it so it's a little bit easier to see. And again, I'm then going to use this this arc function. Again, there's quite a lot of different ones you can use, but 3-point arc is going to be dead easy. Again, if you hover over it, it tells us what we need to do. Start point, end point, and then the radius. So it should be fairly straightforward. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. Start point, end point, and again you'll see it then snaps to that 15mm radius. I'll do exactly the same on the outside. So again, snaps to that centre point, and then just got to close off the arc. Close off that arc. Again, it goes shaded blue, so it shows that it's correct. I'm happy with that. I'm then going to extrude that. So again, it's asking me to select. So the blue icon's always, the blue box is always, right, what do I need to do? So I need to tell it what part I want to extrude. Again, you'll see, oh my god, it's going the wrong way. All I need to do is click on this little arrow. It'll rotate it the other way. Again, you can see it's too thick, so I could change that. Just change that to 10mm. And we'll click OK on that. So again, we've got our semicircle there. I do exactly the same on the bottom now, so I'm just going to rotate it so it's in the right orientation for the bottom bit. So again, new sketch. Select the plane, so I want it to be on that bottom plane there. 3-point arc, so again I'll start drawing that curve, so end point, again it drags and it'll snap to create that perfect semicircle. Go to line tool, select the end points, select the endpoint again, goes that grey colour so you know that it's complete. Click on the little tick icon, then ready to extrude it again. So again, asking me to select the sketch. Again, it's the wrong way, so I just click on this little arrow to rotate it. And again, I only need to do it 10mm. And we've then got our basic frame drawn up. You'll notice when you do it this way, there is a couple of different ways around this, but we'll worry about that a bit later on. I'm sure we'll come to it. Is the idea that these have actually sort of started as all different parts. So that's one, that's one, that's one, and that's separate parts. And again, we don't really want that. So what we can do, we've got our little parts icon here. All I'm going to do is select them all. Yeah, right click, hover over them, and then Boolean. Basically that means combine them all together. So again, it's asking, do you want to add them? So union, subtract them. Clearly I want to union them all. I want to add them all together as one piece. That'll create one separate part. So you can see it's just changed into one part now. So if you've got an issue, that's the way you can get around that. Last little stage, or last few stages, is then just to create our radius on the inside of it. I always start doing the radius on the inside. If I did the outside, there's a chance I could remove that inside corner. So again, just go to the fillet or rounded section, select the two inside faces, and again, I think that's probably around about 20mm, something like that. So that'll be about a 10mm radius, I think. Again, that looks about right to me. Once I've done that, internal at 10mm, I'm then going to do the outside radius. So again, fillet, rotate it round. Obviously, if the internal one's 10mm, I'm just going to do it, add 10mm onto that, so it's we get a constant. I think that looks right. So I've just added 20mm onto that. Again, do exactly the same at the top. So again, we just need to do a bit of playing about. So again, fillet, probably say 10mm again. Again, all these we can edit if we're not sure. A fillet again on the external. That 20, so we've got that nice parallel, so keeping that uniform 10mm width all the way through the bend. And then we're not a million miles away to finishing that. So the only thing we need to add on are the hole centres. So once we've done that, again we're going to add our hole at the front to start with. So again, sketch, select the plane, so I'm going to select that face, centre circle, and again I'm going to use a bit of inferencing here. So again, as I come to there, it'll automatically pick up the very middle of the arc, and again if I drag it out, you'll see that it's got this dotted line. Just want to make sure it's on that dotted line. Again, I'll just zoom in a little so you can see that. So again, I'm not clicking anything, I'm just hovering over. It automatically knows I want to come out. Drag out the circle. Dimension the circle. Again, I'm just going to say 4mm for this one. We're then going to dimension the distance from the centre to the very end. Ideally want it in the middle, so that'll be 5mm. Again, it's probably worth, so we don't get in the same situation we were on the base, and again if we need to alter it, that's fine. Draw on the other circles as well. So again, I'm just going to avoid things like the centre point, so I'm just going to draw a circle there. Again, a bit of inferencing, so just dragging it across, again not clicking anything, start roughly in the middle. Then dimension that, 4mm, dimension that, 4mm, And again, off mine, I've created, obviously this distance in between here is actually 30mm, and I've got a 10mm thickness. So that would mean that the distance from the centres is 40. As you can see, it already is 40. So I'm happy with that. I'm just going to click on that. Oh, just change it to exactly 40. That was a good guess. All we then need to do is dimension from one side to the centre, just to make sure it's exactly in the middle. I'm just going to move that dimension out. And hopefully that'll be the same. Like I say, you'll see if you try and read out, if you over dimension something or over constrain it, yeah. So again, that'll be 5. It won't let you change that to anything else, so we'll stick with that. Again, you'll see it goes grey. That basically means you can't change that, because clearly you've fixed it on that distance. We've got it nice. Again, might need to look at our base, but it's a good practice about how we can edit it. So that distance from the centres is 40mm. I'm then going to do a vertical distance. Again, you can see sometimes it'll try and do an angle, but if you hover out, it'll give me a length. And again, I think the centres of them are around 75mm. So again, we've got our basic hole centres drawn up there. Happy with those. And then I'm going to click on the tick. I'm going to click on extrude. This time I want to remove material, so I'm just going to select remove. Again, we've got to be careful about making sure we're getting the inside of the circle. Select the inside of the circle. Select the inside of the circle. Again, I could change that to 10mm. Or what I could do is, obviously that's setting a blind hole, I could actually just click on this little arrow and do through all, because I want a hole all the way through. And I end up with those holes pretty much in the right place. Obviously then you can do exactly the same thing on this face here, depending on where your hole centres need to be for how you're going to attach your lampshade or whatever on there. But again, that's basically how we draw up our lamp frame, or how I would draw up your lamp frame. Last thing we're going to do is just change the colour of it. So again, appearance, it's not so important at the moment. So I'll give it a fairly light colour, I think, this time. Minimise that. And again, if you fold, you might want to remove all the plane. So hide plane. Again, zoom in, hide the origin. You've then got your finished frame all done.